Hello everyone and welcome back to this little Portal mini-series. Today we're going to be talking about teleporting our character using the portals. Just real quick, I have off-screen, I've gone ahead and made our portal a little bit smaller, right? So before we had something that looked a little bigger. So we had a much bigger collision plane, and we had a much bigger, collision box, and we had a cube static mesh that we stretched out. I've traded in the cube for a plane that's roughly, a little bit bigger than the size of the character, and I resized the collision box to be barely the size of the plane here. So it's bigger than the plane on the X and Z axes, and the Y axis as well. I don't know why I didn't mention the Y axis. But so when we go ahead and spawn it, it looks like it's on the wall. Another thing that I did to achieve that look is I actually got rid of the shadows. So right now, why is it not? Oh, there we go. We're making it so that the plane does not cast a shadow at all. So it looks more like it's flat right up against the wall, because if something is 2D against the wall, think a piece of paper on a wall, it's not going to cast a shadow on the wall. So with that out the way, let's actually go ahead and get into the code. Now it's going to be a little bit tricky getting the character to teleport the way that we want him to. So we're just going to go over it step by step. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our character can actually teleport, right? And in order for that to happen, we need to check which portal we're next to so that we can know which one to teleport the player to. And luckily, we've already done that with index of this. So we're going to do a little something like if index of this is equal to 0, then we're going to teleport to 1, right? And then else, we don't have too many cases because we only have 2 portals, right? So we only have an if and an else. So we'll teleport to 0. Really easy stuff, right? So now we can actually replace these lines real quick with the actual code that we need. We're going to teleport the character, right? And that's why we have the character right here. So we're going to say char set actor location. And we're going to set the location of the actor to the other portal. So we're at 1, or we're at 0, so we're going to want to teleport the character to 1. So we're going to go GM portals. We've done this before. Probably. GM. It doesn't seem like it. GM portals. And we're going to go to index 1. And we're going to get actor location. Right? All right, now that works. At least I'm not getting IntelliSense errors. And we're going to copy and paste that line and just replace the 1 with a 0 there. So if we are at portal number 0, then we'll teleport to portal number 1. Else, we'll teleport to portal number 0. All right, so let's go ahead and compile this. And I will tell you there will be issues that we're going to run into. And we'll solve them as we go along. So it's compiling still. I might as well get out the output log just to see what's going on, if there's anything that I need to know about, and it works just fine. So we're gonna go ahead and click to spawn. Those worked out without a hitch. And I go in and Unreal Engine crashes. Okay. Let's talk about why. So when we activate our overlap event, right, we're calling this function. And what this function is doing is every time you overlap with something, or the player overlaps with the portal, it's going to call this function. So what it's going to do is it's going to go ahead and actually do all the work necessary and then teleport. So what that means is if I teleport directly to portal number 1 from portal number 0, that means that I just overlapped with portal number 1. So what it's going to want to do is it's going to teleport the player back to number 0. And then 0 is going to want to go back to 1, and you can see we have an infinite loop. That is exactly the opposite of what we want. We want no such thing as an infinite loop. One way that we can go about doing this and this is the way that we're going to go about it here, is by setting a Boolean value for the character that will govern whether or not he can teleport. There are different in other ways that I've tried in the past. I've tried a situation where if the player is facing the direction of the portal, then he'll teleport, and if not, then he won't. But then that prevents us from backing into a portal or doing something weird like that. So we're going to go ahead and use this method. So I'm going to go ahead and say create a new public variable. We want it to be public because we want the portal class to see it. And it's going to be bool b can teleport. And it's going to be equal to true. So what our portal is going to do is it's going to check to see if the player can teleport. And if he can, then we're going to go ahead and run this code. So I'm going to add that at the end of here. So if char b can teleport. So here you can see we're checking to see if the other actor that we collided with, or if the portal collided with, we're checking to see if that's the character. Then we're also going to check to see that there is a portal in the array, which there definitely should be. But this is just a sanity check, right? And then we're going to check to see if the player can teleport. And if the player can teleport, then we'll run all of this code. But if not, then it's going to completely just ignore it, right? Which would be exactly the case as when we go ahead and actually teleport. So I'm going to actually take this line and move that into there. Actually, I want it below this next line that I write. And that's, we want to make sure that before we teleport our character, that we turn off its ability to teleport again, right? So I'm going to just say char b can teleport is equal to false. It's not going to be able to teleport again after we actually do this function right here. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing down here. And say char b can teleport equals false. I'm just going to copy and paste that because I'm lazy. And this is going to hopefully put an end to our, what is that called? Infinite loop. There we go. So I'm actually going to go ahead and build that from Visual Studio. You're going to have to do that when your engine crashes anyway. I tend to not like to mess around with the engine too much, or the code too much after a crash, especially because crashes can happen usually from infinite loops and null pointers being passed around. I'm actually going to double click the uproject file right there to open the editor. If that doesn't work out for you, then you can actually come down to open with and add the Unreal Engine and set that as default. But yeah, most of the time, from as far as I know, when I get the engine to crash, it's usually from an infinite loop or a null pointer somewhere. So what we should be able to do is we should be able to now teleport without crashing the engine. And we did it. We kind of got stuck to the wall there for a second, but we teleported without issue. But now we can't teleport again. And that's because we're not setting this value back. So right now, after the character teleports, it's not going to be able to teleport back. Well, let me get rid of that. Trying to change the screen color on me. All right, so now what we have to do is we're going to create some functionality to get that to return to its natural state of being true. And to do that, I'm going to use a timer. And I'm going to do that because I just want this function to be able to fire off immediately after our character teleports, but not so immediate that it causes us an infinite loop. And I can control that time almost perfectly with a timer. So I'm going to include our timer manager.h and come into the header file. I'm going to create some public variables. Why not make them public? And I'm going to make an f timer handle, and I'm going to call it delay handle. And you know what? I'm going to create a function for this as well. So this function is going to be called after our set amount of time. So this is going to be called, I don't know, reset teleport. Does that sound good to you? Sounds good to me. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say void a portal, copy all that, and say reset teleport. It's not going to take any parameters. And what this is going to do is we're actually going to get the world timer manager, and we're going to set a timer. Not set timer for next tick, set timer. And wow, I haven't used a timer on this channel in a while, I don't feel like. Let's delay handle this. I hope I'm passing in all the right parameters. A portal, reset timer, no, not reset timer, reset teleport. Now the time, we want to do this in a really fast amount of time so that the player doesn't notice that it's actually happening. But we don't want it to be short enough that it'll cause us issues. So we'll set it to 0.05 seconds for now. So 1/20th of a second. That's what, like 3 frames if you're playing your game at 60 FPS. That should be fine. And we don't want this to loop, so it's going to be false. Okay, so I'm not getting any error messages there. That's nice. I'm going to copy that piece of code and write that down there. And when we reset the teleport, we'll want to clear the timer. Oh, we need to get world timer manager first. Clear timer. And we're going to clear the delay handle timer. All right, now that's good. And we're going to set char bcan teleport equal to true. And I actually haven't defined char here, so let's go ahead and get that in there. I'm going to need to change this from world to get world, and it's going to be a function, right? And I want to, before I go ahead and do anything with this char variable, I want to, or with this char pointer, I want to actually verify that that is a valid pointer. So if char, then char bcan teleport equals true. So let's go ahead and compile that. And hopefully now we should expect to be able to teleport multiple times without crashing. Compile complete. All right. So we've got 2 portals now. I'm going to teleport, hopefully. Yep, I teleported to that one. Wow, I don't know why I just went. Oh, wow. So I kept my velocity in the same direction. Let's go ahead and do that again, just to verify that all of this works. Oh, see, I got stuck here. Let's spawn another one and another one. Oop. Yep, so now we're not crashing, and we're still getting stuck inside of the portal sometimes, and we're still going in weird directions, but it actually works right now, kind of. So let's actually do some error testing, because I think if I just spawn one portal, what happens when I walk into it? I crash, which is a bad thing. You know what? I'm gonna do that. I'm just feeling nitpicky today. Get that in some brackets. All right, so yeah, basically, if we only have one portal, then we're crashing our entire game when we walk into it, which is not good. So basically what we want to do is we want to, well, first of all, the reason why we're doing that is because when we say if index of this is equal to 0, which it is, then it's going to teleport to a portal that doesn't exist. Right here, this is a null pointer access, which is what I was telling you guys earlier. So because GM portals 1, if we go into our game mode, that's set to null pointer. We're trying to access memory that has nothing there. So we're just going to have another check in here somewhere. So I'm going to put this guy in parentheses and put an and in there. So what we need to do is we need to say if portals, well, GM portals, right? GM portals 1, because that's the one that we're teleporting to, we need to make sure that that's not equal to null pointer. So if that's a null pointer, then none of this code is going to run. And here I'm actually going to want to change this to else if, just so that I can go ahead and copy this. No. Else if index of this is equal to 1 and null pointer 0 is the null pointer. We should almost never have a situation where 0 is a null pointer but 1 isn't. But it's never a bad idea to have safety checking like this, because you never know what could happen when your code gets out there in the wild. So I'm gonna take a sip of water real quick. That compiled really fast. Wow. Let's see if the editor can open that fast. Nope. Editor's slow. Come on. There we go. Now we can hit play. Oh, we wanted to test to see if one of these will kill us, and it won't. Nothing's happening. So that's always good. Now what we can try to do is try and see if we can stop ourselves from getting stuck in the wall sometimes, like this, which is bad. One way that we can do that is to offset our location by just a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll come into the portal, and when we teleport, we're going to set our actor location to our to the other portal's location plus GM portals 1. We're going to get the forward vector of the actor. So get actor forward vector. And multiply that by, I don't know, let's try 40. So what we're doing is we're just going to offset our location by 40 times the forward vector of the portal that we're teleporting to. right? And that should prevent us from getting stuck in the wall pretty much ever. Because we're going to be 40 units away from the portal when we teleport. I think 40 is going to be a nice value that's small enough that the player won't notice it too much. And why am I getting an error message there? Oh, I missed a exclamation mark. Or not exclamation. What's that called? Parentheses. Or is it a paren? Because I only missed one. I have no idea. This should compile successfully. Yep, 0011, yep. Compile complete in just 20 seconds. So now I shouldn't ever really get stuck in, oh, and I just got stuck. Maybe 40 isn't enough. So I'll just bump that up to 50. Or instead of that, I'll make this a U property. And I'll call it, or it's going to be edit defaults only. And this is going to be a float called teleport offset. And I'm going to set that equal to 50 for now. And I'm making it a U property so it'll be really easy for us to go ahead and actually edit this without having to recompile our C++ all the time. All we'll have to do is recompile our blueprint, which is like that. So go ahead and compile that. Now we've set it to 50. And maybe if we figure out a different way of actually going about doing this, then we can bring that value down so that it will be less distracting if it becomes an issue for the player. And compile failed. Let's see, did I forget something important? Edit defaults only. U prop T. I cannot type today. U property. There we go. Unreal's like, I don't know what a U property is. So that should hopefully compile and run. And we should be able to come into our portal blueprint and be able to edit that value as needed. So I'll come in, that compiled successfully, and our teleport offset is just right there. Sweet. So we'll hit play. And I didn't get stuck, and now I just did. Okay, so for right now, getting stuck is going to be a bit of an issue, but nothing that we can't solve. So yep, and I did successfully teleport to this one. So we're going to keep getting stuck for a little bit. And let's see, what else can we fix right now? We've got a little bit of a list of issues. We get stuck from time to time, right? And we don't always come out with the same direction of the portal, right? Because we should expect to be shooting out from, you know, in this direction instead of coming out sideways like that. So what I think we'll do is we'll end this tutorial for now, and then we will continue next week by fixing those two issues. By next week, we will no longer be getting stuck inside of the portal, and we should no longer be facing the wrong direction. And then I think the week after that, we'll talk about render targets and see how we can actually see what the other portal is doing. Because so far we've got, you know, the functionality down, but we actually don't see anything. Like, I should expect to be able to see something that the other portal is showing me. But that will be, that's our little roadmap for these next two tutorials. All right. So if you like this, go ahead and throw a like on the video. If you dislike it, hit the dislike button. Tell me why. Tell me, give me some feedback. Let me know if you like what we're doing here, if you dislike it. But I will see you all in the next one.